how's everyone doing out there? This is going to be a tutorial video covering a basic install of OpenSUSE. This is just going to be for the beginners out there. We're not going to be doing anything special really. This is just going to be a basic install in VirtualBox. This will require you to have VirtualBox installed. It's very easy install and it's free. Just head over to their website and download it. And once you have that installed, go ahead and go to OpenSUSE.org and you're going to click Get It. And then from here, you're going to want to select the 64-bit PC, and you want to make sure you have virtualization enabled within your BIOS. If you're not sure how to do that, just double check Google, look up your motherboard type and how to get into the BIOS and enable virtualization. If you don't enable it, you can still do this, but you're going to have to go with the 32-bit here. Okay, I already have it downloaded. It is quite a bit of a hefty download, 4.7 gigs here, so it's going to take a little time. It took me about 20-25 minutes, just a heads up there. And we're going to go ahead and open up VirtualBox here, and you're going to start by clicking New. And you can go ahead and type OpenSUSE in here, and it'll automatically fill these in, or you can go ahead and click on the type and everything and do it yourself. And you can see here, defaults to the 64-bit Linux, and that's what you want. Go ahead and click Next. And right here, you're going to allocate the memory. My computer has a pretty good amount of RAM in it, so I don't mind bumping this up. You might want to leave it a little lower, but I like to bump it up to around 4 gigs, just to make it run a little smoother. And click Next. And right here, it's asking you about the hard drive. You want to go ahead and just keep this default, create a new virtual hard drive now. Click Create. And just stick with the default here, VirtualBox disk image. If you know what these other ones are, you can go ahead and go with those, but just keep this default for now. And you want to dynamically allocate the size of the physical hard drive. You can do a fixed size, but if you dynamically allocate it, it's going to take up less room. Basically, that you can read what it means, but basically it's going to fill up as the hard drive fills up. A fixed size is just going to allocate that room on your hard drive, even if it's not taking all the way up. So just keep it on dynamically allocated. Click Next. From here, you can just name your virtual hard drive. I'm just going to keep this default, and this is the size of it. I'm just going to keep it at 8 gigs since I'm not really going to be putting anything on here. If you're going to be putting a lot of things on here, you might want to bump that up. Go ahead and click Create, and this is going to bring you to this screen. And from here, you want to click on Settings and go to Storage. And go ahead and select this empty IDE controller. And over here, you can keep this as IDE's secondary master. You don't need to check this live CD, DVD, but go ahead and click this little CD icon here. Click Choose a virtual optical disk file, and then you're going to redirect it to the ISO you downloaded from their website. I had mine saved on the desktop, so I just went ahead and went there and double clicked on it to open it up, and it loads it in here. Go ahead and click OK. Alright, from here you're pretty much ready to go. You can go ahead and hit the start button. And you can see that we have it running now. It brings up this new window. Okay, from here you're going to go ahead and select Installation here. And it's going to load the Linux kernel for you. This should be pretty quick. As this is loading here, I just want to say that this is Like I mentioned earlier, a basic install of this Linux distro, we're not going to be messing with any partitions or anything like that. We're just going to be going with a lot of the defaults and going through the step-by-step setup here. Alright, you can see it's doing some more initializing. Just give it a moment. This usually doesn't take too long. And my experience with this distro is that it does take a little longer than some of the other ones. It really just depends on your computer. Here you can see the license agreement. It's a Linux distro. They're not trying to throw anything sneaky in there for you. So just go ahead and select your language and your keyboard layout and click Next. And from here, it's going to probe some devices and controllers and initialize some more things. And go ahead and leave this default. Just leave both of these unchecked and click Next. Here's what I was talking about earlier. This is the suggested partitioning. Just go ahead and leave this as the default. If you know what you're doing, you can get in here and change it and set it up how you'd like. But just go ahead and click Next. And it's going to synchronize with the NTP server. I'm not really sure what that is, but just go ahead and let it do it. Let it do it. Sorry, excuse me. Just go ahead and let it do its thing. And here you're going to select your time zone. I live in the New York region of the United States. And you can go ahead and click Next from here. And here's where you have a decision to make. You can decide between a GNOME or a KDE desktop or another one. Everyone has their personal preferences and opinions on these two. For this install, I'm going to go with a GNOME desktop. I usually go with KDE. That's my personal choice usually, but I'm going to mix it up here and go with GNOME. Go ahead and click Next. Here's where we're going to create a new user. Just go ahead and enter your full name and the username you'd like, along with the password. And I usually use this password for system administrator checked. That's going to be your sudo password. But I like to uncheck automatic login. I like to see the login screen when I boot up. Give me the choice to go to the console or other choices there. You can leave the authentication method as SHA512. That's good. You can go ahead and click Next. Here I typed a really simple password because it's just a virtualization that I'm working with. So you can decide if you want to change it to something more complicated or not. I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. And then it's going to analyze your system here and give you all of the choices that you've made. It's going to let you know what software it's going to install. We're using the Grub2 bootloader here with this install. You can also go in and set firewall and SSH settings and various other things. One thing to note here is that you can export this configuration for later installs. This is good if you're setting up multiple servers that are just going to have small differences like static IP, for example. But go ahead and review that and click Install. And then it's going to ask you if you want to confirm these settings. Go ahead and click Yes or Install. And it's going to start the installation. This does take a while, so I'm going to cut off the video here and come back when it's done. Okay, you can see here that the installation has finished. It will automatically reboot, or you can go ahead and click OK. And that's going to bring you to the screen you saw earlier. This time you're going to want to select Boot from Hard Disk. And to get rid of that, you can unmount the ISO, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. But here, go ahead and select OpenSUSE to boot up into your new OS. And it'll take a minute to load, but not too long. And this should bring up your login screen for you. You're going to use the user that you created during the installation. And you can see it recognizes the resolution and everything. I'm going to go ahead and make it full screen here in a second once it starts responding. And voila, there's your login screen. There you can see the username that I created. And go ahead and make that full screen. And you can click or press enter on your username there, and it'll bring up the password field. Go ahead and type in your password and either click sign in or press enter, and it should bring you right to your desktop. From here you can see it's pretty basic. It has a nice background there for you, but all you get is that bar at the top that says activities. It gives you the day of the week and the time, and also in the top right you can see a volume, power icon, as well as a little icon that will bring down additional options. From here you can go into your settings. And this is going to be things that you'd expect. Background settings, notifications, privacy settings. Very similar to what you would see in Windows or Mac OS. And if you go up to the top left and click on activities, that's going to bring up what people may consider, your taskbar. Has things that install for you: Firefox, Evolution, Empathy, Music, Shotwell, LibreOffice, Files, and Documents. You can go here and click your file browser. That's like going to My Computer on a Windows machine, or Finder on a Mac OS. So yeah, here's your basic things. You can eject this ISO if you'd like, and you're still running here. If you go back up to activities, it's going to put this window like that. You can search for things, say terminal, bring up your terminal, things like that. So yeah, that's a basic install of this Linux distro. I hope you enjoyed it. One tip I can tell you: if you're trying to get to the console, you can press Control Alt F1, and there you go. This is going to be your console. If you're used to this, you can do that here. That's not the right username. But from here, you can log in. I recommend doing this. You can go ahead and sudo do a refresh here like this. Type in your sudo password, and it's going to refresh the repositories. And if you want to switch back into the GUI, just do Control Alt F7, and it'll bring you right back in there. You can let this run in the background while you're doing things in here. For instance, going to Firefox or doing whatever. The console is basically like the terminal here. Switch back over to the console. You can see it's still refreshing. And then there's one other command you want to run after it's done refreshing, which is sudo zipper update. And that's going to update all your programs and packages. Once it gets there, I'll show you that command. In the meantime, I'm going to switch back over to the GUI. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial video. If you want more, just go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Alright, so here we can see all our repositories have been refreshed. And go ahead, you can type it out, or you can press the up arrow, backspace to update. And now on a fresh install, okay, it's going to ask you if you want to continue. If you want to continue, just type Y and hit enter. And then you have to go through this disclaimer. You just type yes a bunch of times. It's the fastest way. And it's going to ask you there at the bottom, just type yes, and then it's going to go through and update all these. As you can see, there are a lot of updates, a little over 500. So I'm not going to make you sit through all this. but I want to let you know that that is a good thing to do with a fresh install. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back over to the GUI here, and thank you once again for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.